The goal of creating a homeland for Jews seemed like a noble pursuit in 1897, when the Zionist movement became officially established. However, their dream of returning to Palestine has become a nightmare of violence, and there is no end in sight. Worse yet, the concept that Palestine is their homeland has turned out to be a tragic mistake. These white-skinned Ashkenazi Jews are not descendants of the original Jews of Palestine. There were no white people in Africa or Palestine 2,000 years ago. The medieval Europeans assumed that Jesus Christ, his mother, and the other original Jews looked just like the Europeans, which is why you can find Jesus with blue eyes and green eyes, and why his mother has such white skin. A Jewish historian looked into the ancestry of the Ashkenazi Jews and wrote the 13th tribe to show that their homeland is the area near the Caspian Sea. The schools, the media, and even the 9/11 truth seekers are dishonest about the history of Israel, Zionism, and Jews, and I had to edit this video because even Darrell Bradford Smith has turned out to be a liar. Here are some excerpts from an interview about the 13th tribe.
One of the subjects that I have been actually pounding pretty hard on the radio about is this new book. Well, it's not a new book, but to me it was quite new. Most of these subjects are new to me. It's a book called The 13th Tribe by a man named Kostler, and it was written some time ago. However, it is still, to date, I think probably the strongest evidence we've got of some of the deceptions around, the Zionist camp, how they are going out into the airwaves and into the newspapers, creating false charges of anti-Semitism, causing people to believe that they are, in fact, the rightful heirs to Israel and many other things. And so I've invited someone from Britain. His name is Mohammed Refik, and he has been involved in trying to get the truth out about this stuff for over a decade and a half, going on 2 decades now, which is amazing because, this is back in the day when nobody was talking about this, or very few people. And I think the first thing I'd like to start out with is how this Khazarian empire was born, and because the listeners they already know that the Khazars are the forerunners to the Ashkenazi sect of Judaism. So, since you've done the study, where did the Khazar dynasty begin, and how did it get underway?
What actually happened was, somewhere between the 7th and 8th centuries of the Christian era, we find these Khazars who live in the area which was named after them, Khazaria, which is the land locked between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. The northern border of this land is actually the third range of mountains. If you were to start heading north from the south, you'll find there's actually 3 ranges of mountains, and the third one being the Caucasus up there, just north of which is where modern-day Chechnya and Ingushetia are.
Okay.
And to the south, you would find the main trade route that came out through Persia, across northern Iraq, northern Syria, and into Turkey. This was a common...
Is that the present Kurdistan region? Don't we have a lot of Kurds in that area?
It would include Kurdistan and possibly Azerbaijan, and slightly out to the north even would stretch up to southern Armenia.
And he does provide a pretty decent map on the website, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to follow along, you could go to the French Connection website. The book is available on the site, and you'd be able to see the map that Muhammad is referring to.
Now, the fact that it's between the land of the Khazars is as you go over the first range of mountains and drop down, their empire stretched from the north side of the first range of mountains all the way to the south side of the third. This area is modern-day Georgia, covers a lot of the land in modern-day Georgia. And what's important about it is that because they basically had a range of mountains to the north, a range to the south, seas on the east and the west, They remained stable there for a very long time, and it was around the 7th and 8th centuries that they found themselves for the first time facing a difficult situation, in that the Byzantine Empire, which was modern-day Turkey, was trying to stop the expanding Muslim empire coming out of Arabia, which it had already reached up through Palestine and into Syria and obviously out into...
And he refers to it as the caliphs.
The caliph is the leader. He's the Muslim leader.
Right, and he said that the caliphs from the south were making many attacks over the many centuries into his southern flank.
That's correct. Over 80%, some say as much as 90%, so I will settle on 85 if that's okay with you tonight.
Okay, yeah.
85% of world Jewry today are Ashkenazi. This is not small stuff. We're saying the majority of Jews in the world today, people who are called Jews, are Ashkenazi. And coming back to your point earlier, Darrell, the Ashkenazi started looking at Judaism not so much with the emphasis on the Torah, but looking more to the Talmud. But these people are not the house of Israel. They are not the contracting party. That's the term in law. They were not a contracting party. At a time that God, according to the biblical chronology, made that gift, those people were living under the Hittite Empire.
So I have as much claim as these people do to Israeli real estate.
And what more, how can we have the so-called right of return? Darrell, surely, I mean, I consider myself fairly educated, but I thought to return to somewhere, you have to go there first and leave. These people are returning to a place they've never been to.